day of the wedding and immense crowds. Thousands had assembled overnight, others had arrived at dawn, all eagerly waiting to see and to cheer the royal processions on this day of their own princess's marriage. As must inevitably happen when such numbers collect and so much emotional excitement prevails, avoiding accidents becomes a primary consideration. Now the people had not much longer to wait. And at Kensington Palace, His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, with the Marquis of Milford Haven, his best man, checked the time for the start of his drive. A few moments too early, and then, lucky omen, a sweep stands by just before the bridegroom enters his car. The cheers of the people all along the route were sure evidence of his popularity as he drove swiftly towards Poets' Corner at the Abbey. A captain's escort of household cavalry wearing full-dress uniform were in attendance on the Queen and Princess Margaret, driving to the Abbey in the glass coach. After the Queen had gone by, the crowds waited with tense excitement for the appearance of the Irish state coach, for His Majesty the King, and for the bride. The greyness of this November day, matching in some respects the weary aftermath of war, these were neither seen nor felt, for this was a day of national rejoicing, a day indeed which had caught the imagination of men and women all over the world. And as the King and his daughter drove past, they received in overflowing measure the true and enduring affection of the people of Britain. The coach draws up at the west door, and His Majesty pauses to help the Princess alight. There's a moment's delay, due, I imagine, to the 15-foot train of the Princess's most beautiful wedding gown. Then, with her father, the royal bride enters for her marriage to the man of her choice. Of the actual service, we can only give you this impression of the solemn and reverent scene within the Abbey. At the end of the service, the procession of the bride and bridegroom was formed. Her Royal Highness's pages were Prince Michael of Kent and Prince William of Gloucester. Princess Margaret and Princess Alexandra of Kent headed the bridesmaids. Following the King and Queen in the procession were Queen Mary, Princess Andrew of Greece, the bridegroom's mother, and King Haakon of Norway. Then King Michael of Romania, the Queen of the Hellenes, and the boy king of Iraq. The Princess Regent of the Netherlands and Prince Bernhard, King Peter and Queen Alexandra, Queen Helen of Romania, the Prince Regent of Belgium, and the Duchess of Aosta, the Crown Prince and Crown Princess of Sweden. Earl and Countess Mountbatten of Burma. Statesmen among the guests included the Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary, Field Marshal Smuts, Mr. Morrison and Mr. Mackenzie King, Mr. Winston Churchill and his wife. The departure of the royal couple from the Abbey after the wedding was the climax for the tens of thousands waiting in the streets of London. The princess had long ago won the utmost affection of the people. Her husband, British by upbringing and service, had already received their warm-hearted regard. And this was a love match. No wonder the people cheered themselves hoarse as the young bride and her gallant groom returned to the palace on their wedding day. This day will long be remembered as a vivid and important episode in the story of the nation. But if we dwell more upon the actual London scene, it's because in these pictures we can recapture and preserve the spontaneous rejoicing of the moment. The crowds outside the palace were quite as vast and as thrilled as those of Jubilee and Coronation days. How they cheered the happy pair when they came out onto the balcony. What a wonderful picture the princess made, looking most lovely in her magnificent gown and standing happily beside her husband. Presently they were joined by their Majesties and Queen Mary, and a storm of cheering broke out afresh. The link between the British people and the royal family is something quite unique. Again and again, the people called for Elizabeth and Philip. Again and again, they joyfully responded. Inside the palace, the wedding groups and brief close-ups. Princess Margaret, Prince Michael, Prince William. Finally, these delightful studies of the princess and the duke. It was their day, and their great happiness was clear to see. The approaches to the palace were still absolutely packed when their Royal Highnesses began the journey to Waterloo. They received the treatment always accorded to newlyweds. With this difference, the bombardment was made with rose petals, not confetti. Yet another affectionate greeting was given them on their way to the station as the dusk of the winter evening began to close in. At Waterloo, there were still some rose petals to be brushed away, and there was a moment's pause for official goodbyes before they boarded the special train. This was to take them to Winchester on their way to Lord Mountbatten's home at Broadlands, lent for the honeymoon. Britain hopes that their journey was but the prelude to lifelong happiness through the years to come.